This is going to be a really quick video today. I had a guy, I watch a lot of bare metal, I forget his name right off the top of my head. I'll link him in the description below because he does a lot of really cool Hot Wheels stuff, and I do a little tinkering with that kind of stuff myself. But he has been making these Mad Max cars, and I watched his videos and had seen it, and that actually is what got me into getting Hot Wheels in the first place. So somebody asked me in the comments, because I made a comment in there about having made the black on black Interceptor that Mad Max drives, asked me if they would I'd make a video to show it. So here is what you start what I started with. I got two of these, but I ended up buying two of these, but I cracked one open and did modifications to it. It's a 73 Ford Falcon XB, which is the car that the Mad Max Interceptor is built on. If you look in there, it's a European or possibly straight up Australian car. I don't know a whole lot of history about the actual car, but the steering wheel is on the left side because it is a foreign car, and they did that in the Hot Wheels lines as well, which is really sweet. Even though Ford Falcons were a car in the United States as well, the XB, this particular model, is not a United States car. So started out with this particular car, which is pretty simple, and then you have to do some cutting in the top of the car here to get a blower out the top, and then you need to find yourself a Hot Wheels that has an engine that you like. Then you need to, I did the Road Warrior version, so you have to cut out the trunk as well. So there's a lot of cutting on this, and you got to take the paint off of it. Bare Metal has a lot of videos where he talks about taking the paint off. You just use paint stripper and you can end up cleaning it off, and then you can polish it or whatnot. I did make some mistakes on it. It was the first custom Hot Wheels car I ever did, so I'll show you how it turned out now. This is the Mad Max Interceptor from Road Warrior. One of the things that I really dislike about what I did was the front grills. I made that out of green stuff epoxy, and I had to figure out how to make the stuff, and it's not perfect. I mean, it's not nice and straight lines. The engine is actually made out of a couple things. I took a stock engine from a gasser type vehicle, and then cut off the blower, because the blower on the Mad Max Interceptor is a lot different. It has these nice angles. You can see it angling back there, and angling in the front, and the angle on there. Well, they don't have that on any of the Hot Wheels cars that I saw, so I actually built this out of the tip of a nail. I took it onto an anvil and I pounded it down and got it into the shape that I wanted, and filed it into the shape that I wanted, and then kind of ground a hole into the bottom and a hole into here, and hooked it into the top of that. And I also took a nail and put it in the front so you can see like the belt drive kind of thing. There's a lot of nails that were used in this car, which most people don't need to do. They actually have kits that you can buy that are like resin kits to make the front ends and everything. But I took some metal wires, and you can see where it's glued right down here. This is, like I said, this is the first Hot Wheels I ever did, so I mean, it's not perfect, but I took some metal wires and bent them to where they were, and then soldered them together and glued them together so they could look nice. Tried to get them as slick as possible so that you could do the exhaust on the sides. I took a paintbrush, an acrylic paintbrush, and it was a junk paintbrush, and cut down the gas tanks, and then sanded those down, and also stuck a nail in each top of those for the gas tank lids, and then used cardstock, like a poster paper or card paper for a printer, and cut out a couple pieces of that thin and wrapped it around, and then painted it. And then took a piece of popsicle stick and some other stuff and created the gas tank. Trying to do this on my cell phone because I'm very unprofessional, but you can see the gas tank sitting there, and just stock Hot Wheels wheel and put it in there. Cut it down a little bit so it would actually fit. Cut the inside out so it would sit down in there. But another thing that doesn't happen is you have to get the front nose piece on it, and in the original car it actually has a piece that comes down underneath there in the Mad Max Interceptor. But in the Road Warrior version, the bottom piece is broken off, and so you need to fix that up. So again, another nail I took and I flattened that out and bent it into shape and angled the piece right there. You can see where I angled it on that, possibly, if I can get the proper lighting. And then I took another nail and flattened it down and bent it into shape there, and hooked these onto the top and glued it. Cut the slots in the front, if you can see those. They're not perfect, but they're what I could do on my first try. But so I cut those into the front, and then on the back I took a thinner piece of wire and I bent it into shape, because you have to have this extra little I guess hood spoiler, I guess is what you would call it, a roof spoiler. And I bent it so it would go around this little curve on the edge, because it does go past a little bit, then flattened it out and sanded it into shape and put it on there and super glued it on. Also, the original XB Hot Wheels doesn't have this spoiler on it that goes down into it, so I had to fabricate those as well and shape those, and then you put them into the car so it looks nice and good. Painted the taillights, painted used some what do you call it, chalk pastels. It's not super visible in the picture, but you can kind of see the dust. Did some chalk pastels to do some dust on it, painted it matte black, did some chalk pastels on it. One of the things that I really made a mistake on is I hadn't watched enough of Bare Metals to understand what he was talking about, but he doesn't use primer on a lot of his stuff because he's doing red lines. Well, when you redo a red line, you want to be able to see the metal. So I didn't use primer on this. Well, the paint doesn't stick to it very well, and something fell onto it and chipped it right here, so I had to refix that up a little bit. It's not perfect, but yeah, there's a lot of times I'm going to say it's not perfect, but there you go, the Mad Max Interceptor from Road Warrior before it gets all trashed up. Anyway, yeah, first Hot Wheels setup, and there you go. It's longer than I thought this video was going to be, but like, share, subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you later, Internet.